Hi, I'm Christopher Walker with Closely Observed English, and here is another C1 Advanced essay, and we're going to go through it and offer some feedback. So here is the rubric, which the student has scanned and added here. Maybe it's a photo, actually, I'm not sure. Anyway, the rubric says, following a class discussion on how technology has affected the way we live today, you've made the notes below. Which aspect of our daily lives has been affected most by technology? Communication, relationships, or working life? Write an essay discussing two of the points in your notes. You should explain which aspect of daily life you think has been most affected by technology, giving reasons in support of your answer. So there we have our three content points. We need to choose two of the three options to talk about with regard to technology affecting our lives, and then we have to decide which one has been most affected. Right, so let me scroll down a little bit and we can see the text there, and let's go through and identify the content points, shall we? So, we live in the era of technology, which bears no resemblance to past times. While regarding it as a privilege, as a moot point, we all agree on the fact that how this present day world works has a great impact on our daily lives. Okay. Many wonder which area has been the most affected and how. So that's our introduction. Although humans are social creatures, their interactions have negatively changed due to the appearance of tech. Recent data reveals that old-fashioned couples have a more intimate and profound relationship compared to the modern ones. According to a survey conducted by Present magazine, women are more addicted to online than their partners, who often admit that if they could have made a difference, they would have totally banned the use of phones at restaurants and pubs. Okay, so that's point one, which would be, oh, communication. Okay, yes. I was thinking relationship because it's old-fashioned couples and things like that. Okay. Um, In contrast with relationships, technology has managed to positively influence working life. Not only does the possibility of working from home exist, but there are also improvements in the effectiveness of completing tasks. In this sense, while workers are able to concentrate on complex problems, up-to-date apps and programs deal with bureaucracy. And funnily enough, little do they know how the code behind them work. They just take it for granted. By and large, I'm of the opinion that gadgets have affected more the working life than the way we make relationships, as the impact is felt on a larger scale, involving people of all ages, even elders. At the same time, human interactions and manners still depend on the way we were raised and on our willing to create a healthy, strong connection with others. Okay, well, let's see then. So we've got our first point, which is I originally thought that it was about relationships, but I see that it's about communications more than that. Um, I think that comes through quite clearly. I mean, it's not a bad paragraph, but yeah, if it caused a little bit of confusion, let's just go back up. Communication, relationships, working life. Is this about communication or relationships? Here it says in contrast with relationships, so it should be about relationships. I thought it might be about communication. But yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's about relationships more than anything. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, maybe it's my problem for reading this so early in the morning. So then we have the second point, which is about working life. I think the points here are very well made. And then we have our decision, which of the two is more important, more impactful, and given reasons why. Now that I've reread this paragraph, it's my problem, not the writer's problem. They've done a good job of expressing everything. I'm going to say this is a 5 because all of the content is relevant to the task, and on reflection, the target reader is fully informed. So that's good. So let's take a look then at communicative achievement. It is an essay. It's structured as such. It shows if this was a real student in a real classroom after a real discussion on the effects of technology, as the teacher, I would be happy to read this because it shows proof of learning. And that's what the target reader is after here. This is kind of the convention of the task, is that you're proving to your teacher, yes, I was paying attention throughout the lesson. There are structures that belong in essays, some nice use of, I mean, we'll look at it with organization as well, but things like, although humans are social creatures, their interactions have never negatively changed due to the appearance of tech. So that's a good way of leading into the point, and it's the sort of thing that you would expect to find in an essay. There are a few places where the register doesn't quite fit, such as here with funnily enough. Not sure it quite belongs here. This is more of a language thing, but it affects communicative achievement. Gadget here and tech here don't quite belong. More formal or more specific uses would have been better. So I would say that we're falling between a 5 and a 3. So we're looking at a band 4 for communicative achievement. This is a good essay. For the organization, the text is well organized on a paragraph level. So we have introduction, first point, second point, concluding point. So that's good. Each paragraph introduces an idea, builds the idea, develops it to its conclusion, and then moves on. There is linking between the paragraphs. For example, here in contrast, I would say in contrast to rather than in contrast with, but in contrast is good. We have sentence level things. We've got a good old not only, but also, which is nice to see. In this sense is a nice way to link that new idea to the previous one, which is good. This part, I'm not sure entirely if it belongs. It would maybe have been better to develop this point a little bit further rather than to say that people don't really know what the code is behind the apps. I'm not sure how important that is in the grand scheme of things, but that's fine. In terms of organization, there's maybe one little thing over here, two things actually, but it's the same. There's relative clauses. So the first sentence here, let me change the format. Let's go for a different blue, shall we? So just this sentence, first of all. We live in the era of technology which bears no resemblance to past times. Okay, so this use of which doesn't quite work because we've defined our era, and this is leading into a defining, non-defining relative clause. So we've defined it, and now we're not defining it. If you know what I mean. So maybe here we could say we live in an era of technology which bears no resemblance to past times without the comma. So here we're introducing an era, but we're not defining it. The defining clause would then say it. Let me type it in just there so you can see exactly what I mean. So it would be, we live in an era of technology that bears no resemblance to past times, for example. So that would be one option. The other would be to say we live in an era. We could go with we live in the era of technology, one which bears. But now that I see it written, I still think I prefer to say an. I think an would be better because we're going to tell the reader which era it is later. This is a smallish point. The other one that I wanted to look at then was down just here. Women are more addicted to online than their partners who often admit that if they could have made a difference, something like that, yeah. So there's no comma here, which means that who is a defining relative pronoun. It's defining which partners. So women are more addicted to online than their partners who often admit. So if the partners don't admit, then women are less addicted to them, which doesn't make sense. So a little comma just here, just comma, and then lead into who often. In terms of organization as well, this sentence is carrying a lot of weight. According to a survey conducted by Present Magazine, women are more addicted to being online rather than online than their partners, comma, who often admit that given the choice, comma, they would have totally banned the use of phones at restaurants and pubs, for instance, because that's only one example, I should imagine. So for organization, it is a well-organized, coherent whole using a variety of cohesive devices and organizational patterns. Maybe not with perfect flexibility, as we've seen with the few highlighted comments there, but I certainly think that this is still worth a band for. And that brings us to language. So let me just clear a bit of space. Let's say bye-bye to all of this just there. Now, I thought generally the language was good. I didn't have any problems understanding what the writer was saying. There are a couple of places which I'll highlight now where I think that better word choices were available. But there are also places where good word choices were adopted. So I like this bears no resemblance. That's nice. Wasn't sure about this part, regarding it as a privilege is a moot point. Okay. Is it a privilege? Well, that's going to be what you're going to say in the essay. Is it a moot point? Well, it can't really be, because you're going to say everything here in the essay. So I'm not sure if that clause particularly earns its place in the text. Although humans are social creatures, that's good. Their interactions have negatively changed due to the appearance of, I wouldn't say tech, I would go for the full technology. Tech is a little bit too much of a shorthand. Recent data reveals, now this is a very small point, but data is actually a plural noun. Many people don't know this. Data is plural, the singular is datum, just as media is plural and medium is singular. So data are plural, so recent data reveal. But at C1 level, you're not expected to know that, so you're certainly not going to lose any marks on the language side for that. What you might lose a little bit would be for old-fashioned couples. What is an old-fashioned couple? Do you mean older partnerships? Do you mean older relationships, older marriages, for example, or older married couples? What is an old-fashioned couple? You could have two people in their 20s and the guy insists on working and his wife has to stay at home. That's an old-fashioned couple, yeah? But they're in their 20s. So is it quite the right word choice? I don't think so. However, what comes next I thought was good. I like this, a more intimate and profound relationship. And we'd say compared to more modern ones. According to a survey, I like this use of according to a survey conducted by, that's nice. And adding a little bit of kind of like factual information here is acceptable in an essay, certainly this sort. So online we've talked about, so it should be maybe being online. Totally banned. When I read it the first time, I have to admit, I got a California girl in my head saying they would have like totally banned the use of phones. That doesn't even sound Californian, does it? But you know what I mean? It sounds like it could be informal. So if you really wanted to stick with formal language that you kind of need for an essay, you could have said they would have enforced a total ban on the use of phones. So you can switch banned for a noun. That would have kind of gotten rid of that totally. In contrast to relationships, technology has managed to positively influence working life. I like that. That's good. Positively influence working life. Not only does the possibility of working from home exist, that's good, but there are also improvements in the effectiveness of completing tasks. Good. In this sense, while workers are able to concentrate on complex problems, up-to-date apps and programs deal with bureaucracy. Nice. I like that. This part, this paragraph here, like that first part is really good. The next part, this line and a half, this sentence doesn't quite work as well, but it's not the end of the world. By and large, I'm of the opinion that gadgets, because they're not gadgets if it's code. An app isn't a gadget. A program's not a gadget. So gadgets doesn't work here. Yeah, have affected more the working life than the way we make relationships, as the impact is felt on a larger scale. That I like. The impact is felt on a larger scale. Very nice. Involving people of all ages, even, I wouldn't use elders here. I've been doing a lot of proofreading recently for a guy who writes about like the university of the third age and stuff like that. Seniors would be better. At the same time, human interactions and manners still depend on the way we were raised. That's good. I like that. Still, interactions and manners still depend on the way we were raised. And I like this, create a healthy, strong connection with others. That's very nice. Very small little point here. Willing is an adjective, so we need the noun. So on our willingness to create. So that brings us back to the language. Where do we sit? Well, vocabulary, there's some that's inappropriate use. So that brings us away from the 5 a little bit. The grammar, generally good. I've highlighted a couple of places with relative clauses, for example. But generally it's all right. Occasional errors may be present, but do not impede communication. Yeah, I'd agree with that, certainly. So I'm going to give it a band 3 and suggest that it's on an upwards trajectory. There's a lot that's to like in this essay. I enjoyed reading it overall for C1 Advanced. I think it's a good, strong essay. And as you can see, we've got 5 2 4s and a 3 plus. That shows that this student is on the right path and should do well at the exam when they choose to sit it. So there we go. If you too would like some writing feedback, please get in touch with me through my Facebook page. The link is in the description below, and send something like this. So something nice typed up with the rubric, nicely formatted so that I can follow everything, and I'll make you a video with that feedback. If you're not feeling so confident, for €5 I also offer a paid version where I keep the video private, make the same sort of video like this, but then you can download it and nobody else will see it. It's off the radar, so to speak. Okay, and with that, I shall bid you adieu, to use a bit of French on this English language channel. I like French, actually. All right, bye-bye.